Picture two armies, same country, same people, 25 years apart. One army will fight the entire world for 4 years and nearly win. The other will conquer half of Europe in 2 years, then collapse so completely that the country itself will cease to exist. Same nation, same German efficiency, same military tradition. Everyone assumes Nazi Germany in 1939 was stronger than Imperial Germany in 1914. Better technology, better tactics, blitzkrieg versus trench warfare. But when you actually look at the numbers, at the industrial capacity, at what each Germany could actually sustain when everything went wrong, that assumption starts to crack. Before we dive in, I need you to picture something. You're watching Nazi Germany roll into Poland, panzer divisions, Stukas screaming overhead. The future of warfare. Now zoom out. Right behind those tanks, 750,000 horses pulling supply wagons. Horses. In 1939. That image alone tells you everything about the difference between real power and the illusion of power. If you want history that goes deeper than the newsreels, hit that subscribe button. All right, let's start with what each Germany actually looked like at the moment they went to war. August 1914. Germany mobilizes for war. At that moment, Germany has the second most powerful economy on earth. Only the United States produces more. German industry dominates Europe. 17.6 million tons of steel annually. Britain produces only 7.8 million tons. France, 4.6 million. Russia, 4.2 million. Germany is the global leader in chemicals, producing everything from advanced dyes to pharmaceuticals to fertilizers. When the world wants precision machinery, optical instruments, electrical equipment, they buy German. The currency is backed by gold. Government debt is manageable. Banks are stable. The country is self-sufficient in coal and produces most of its own food. The military reflects this economic power. 800,000 men in peacetime. The German army needs just 12 days to expand from 800,000 to 3.5 million soldiers. Total mobilization reaches 3.8 million. The rail network is the most advanced in Europe, purpose-built to move armies to any front within days. Artillery is excellent. Logistics are methodical. Germany has real allies. Austria-Hungary adds 50 million people, though its industrial capacity is limited compared to Germany itself. Most of Austria-Hungary remains agricultural, with significant industry only in Bohemia and parts of Hungary. But it's still a great power with a capable military. The Ottoman Empire provides geographic reach and resources. September 1939. Germany invades Poland. In London, crowds read the newspapers in disbelief. In New York, Times Square stops to watch the newsreels. The world is witnessing something new. Blitzkrieg, lightning war. 5 weeks and Poland is gone. To everyone watching, Germany looks unstoppable. But what the newsreels don't show is that Germany is running out of time. Not in years, in months. The Nazi economy is running on something called MEFO bills. If you watched our previous video, you know exactly how this financial scheme worked. If not, go watch that first because it explains how Germany hid 12 billion Reichsmarks in debt off the books. By 1938, there are 12 billion Reichsmarks of MEFO bills, compared with 19 billion of standard government bonds. These unreported debts are about to come due, and Germany doesn't have the money to pay them. But that's not the only problem. General Georg Thomas, Chief of Staff for the Army Weapons Office and later head of the Defense Economy and Armament Office, reviews Germany's stockpiles before the Poland invasion. His report to General Halder is devastating. The Germans only have 2 months' worth of fuel oil and petrol for the invasion. The ammunition situation is similarly precarious, sufficient for quick victories, but insufficient for prolonged warfare. Field Marshal Keitel reads the report. then suppresses it. Orders Thomas to never speak of this again. Germany imports almost all its oil. It imports rubber, copper, tungsten, and other strategic materials. It imports iron ore from Sweden because domestic production can't keep up. Food rationing has already begun before the war even starts. This is why Hitler invades Poland in September 1939. Not because Germany is ready, because Germany is running out of time. Either they conquer quickly and seize resources, or the system collapses. Compare this to Imperial Germany in 1914. When Britain imposes a naval blockade, cutting Germany off from global trade, Germany fights for 4 years. 4 years of artillery barrages consuming millions of shells. 4 years of feeding armies on multiple fronts. 4 years of replacing casualties, maintaining railways, keeping the industrial base running. Germany had already developed the Haber-Bosch process before the war, which allowed them to synthesize ammonia for explosives when they couldn't import nitrates anymore. Without this pre-war investment in chemical science, they couldn't have sustained 4 years of war. They find substitutes for rubber. They ration food brutally, but keep the army supplied. The difference? Imperial Germany had economic depth. Nazi Germany had a stopwatch counting down to bankruptcy. But there's something else the cameras didn't show about that invasion of Poland. Those panzer divisions rolling into Warsaw, they represented a tiny fraction of the German army. The bulk of the Wehrmacht moved at the speed it had in 1914. Actually, slower, because they were using horses. Nearly 3 million horses and mules are used by the Germans during World War II. Of these, an estimated 750,000 are killed. On average, 1.1 million horses serve in the army at any given time. The famous panzer divisions get all the attention in the propaganda films, but the bulk of the Wehrmacht moves at the speed of a horse-drawn wagon. This isn't traditionalism. This isn't tactical choice. Germany can't afford to fully mechanize. They don't have enough oil to fuel trucks. They don't have enough industrial capacity to build trucks. They don't have enough rubber for tires. Imperial Germany in 1914 moves armies by rail, one of the world's most extensive railway networks. Locomotives, rail cars, track all manufactured domestically, built specifically to handle military mobilization. Fast, efficient, sustainable. Nazi Germany in 1939 still relies on horses because mechanization requires resources they don't have. And then there's the Navy. Imperial Germany in 1914 has the second most powerful navy in the world. The High Seas Fleet includes modern dreadnoughts that can challenge the Royal Navy. Years of construction, massive investment. Nazi Germany's navy in 1939. A handful of battleships, a few heavy cruisers, a small submarine fleet. Admiral Raeder repeatedly warns Hitler, Germany is not ready for a naval war with Britain. Plan Z, which is supposed to build a fleet capable of challenging the Royal Navy, won't be complete until 1948. The schedule approved in early 1939 explicitly aims for a completed fleet by 1948. If war comes now, all the Navy can do is conduct limited operations and hope for the best. Hitler invades Poland anyway. Because the plan isn't to fight a long war. The plan is a series of short wars. Knock out Poland in weeks. Knock out France in weeks. Knock out the Soviet Union in weeks. Seize their resources before your own run out. It works in Poland. 5 weeks. It works in France. 6 weeks. But then comes the Soviet Union. General Halder, chief of the Army General Staff, keeps a diary during the invasion of the Soviet Union. His entries from the first weeks are confident. The Soviets are collapsing. Victory is weeks away. But by December, the tone has changed completely. June 1941. Germany invades the Soviet Union with 3 million soldiers, 3,000 tanks, 2,000 aircraft, the largest military operation in history. The plan, knock out the Soviet Union in 6 to 8 weeks, seize Ukrainian grain, Caucasus oil fields, the industrial capacity of Western Russia, then turn back west and deal with Britain. Halder's diary entries from July and August show confidence. But they also show something else. He knows the logistics are impossible. Fuel supplies inadequate. Ammunition insufficient for sustained combat. But Hitler demands the offensive anyway. By early December, German forces have pushed to within 12 miles of Moscow. Officers can see the Kremlin through field glasses, but they can't take it. December 5th, 1941. The Soviet Union launches a massive counter-offensive. The winter of 1941-42 is the coldest in over 200 years. Temperatures at -40 degrees Fahrenheit. German soldiers have no winter clothing, equipment not designed for cold, tank engines won't start, rifles jam. The troops hitting them are fresh Siberian divisions. Professional soldiers trained for winter warfare, equipped for cold. The German offensive stalls, then retreats. And suddenly, Nazi Germany faces exactly what Hitler tried to avoid. A long war of attrition against an enemy that can replace losses, that has resources, that won't collapse. This is what Imperial Germany endured for 4 years against Britain, France, Russia, and eventually the United States. Multiple fronts simultaneously, naval blockade cutting off global trade. They lasted 4 years. They only collapsed when internal revolution destroyed the government. The military itself hadn't been defeated in the field. The Hindenburg Line was still intact. German troops still occupied foreign territory. What failed was the home front, the political system. But economically and militarily, they sustained the war for 4 years, despite being outnumbered and blockaded. Nazi Germany can't sustain 1 year of this. By 1944, Germany is scraping the bottom of the barrel. Teenagers and old men conscripted, fuel shortages grounding aircraft, tanks immobile without gasoline. Industrial base bombed around the clock. But the strategic position tells an even clearer story. Imperial Germany in 1914 could at least count on its allies to fight. Nazi Germany in 1939 cannot. Japan is fighting its own war in Asia, too far away to help in Europe. When Germany invades the Soviet Union in June 1941, Japan doesn't join. They're focused on Southeast Asia and the Pacific. But there's another reason. The Battle of Khalkhin Gol in 1939, where Soviet forces decisively defeated the Japanese, convinced Tokyo that fighting the Red Army was too costly. Japan even signed a neutrality pact with the Soviet Union in April 1941, just 2 months before Germany invades. So Germany fights the Soviet Union alone. Italy is worse, much worse. June 10, 1940. Mussolini declares war on France and Britain. Italy is supposed to be a great power. They have a large army, a navy, colonies in Africa. Instead, Italy becomes a massive liability. September 13, 1940. Italy invades Egypt from Libya. The British counterattack with Operation Compass and annihilate the Italian 10th Army. Entire divisions surrender. Over 130,000 Italian prisoners are captured in just 2 months. One of the most lopsided victories in military history. Germany has to send Rommel and the Afrika Korps in February 1941 to save them. October 28, 1940. Italy invades Greece. The Greeks push them back into Albania, occupying 25% of Albanian territory. Germany has to invade Yugoslavia and Greece on April 6, 1941 to bail out Italy. This delays Operation Barbarossa by 5 weeks. 5 weeks that Germany loses before the Russian winter. Some historians argue this delay cost Germany the war. Those 5 weeks meant German forces reached Moscow in December instead of early November. Right when the winter hit, and the resource drain was enormous. Germany threw 29 divisions into the Balkans, 6 of their 19 armored divisions, 1,200 of their 3,200 tanks, tanks that would have been critical in Russia. North Africa, the Balkans. Every theatre where Italy fights, Germany has to send troops to rescue them. Italy doesn't help Germany. Italy drains German resources. Compare this to Imperial Germany's situation. Austria-Hungary had problems, but they fielded armies that fought for 4 years on multiple fronts against Russia, Italy, and Serbia. The Ottomans tied down British and Russian forces in the Caucasus and Middle East. Nazi Germany's allies either can't help or actively make things worse. When you're fighting the Soviet Union, Britain, and eventually the United States, you need allies who can actually fight. Nazi Germany doesn't have them. So here's where we are in December 1941. Nazi Germany is losing in Russia. Their economy runs on looted resources. Their allies are useless or worse. Imperial Germany faced similar circumstances in 1918. Allies collapsing. Enemies closing in, resources depleting. But one Germany kept fighting for months. The other will collapse completely within 3 years. What's the actual difference? Imperial Germany in 1914 was built for endurance. The economy could produce shells, feed armies, replace losses for years. When the British blockade cut them off, they adapted. Synthesized ammonia for explosives. Found rubber substitutes, rationed brutally, kept fighting 4 years against Britain, France, Russia, and eventually the United States. Nazi Germany in 1939 was built for speed. 6 to 8 weeks of intense combat, maybe 3 months. After that, they needed to loot conquered territories to survive. Poland falls. Germany seizes its resources. France falls. Germany seizes its gold, its factories, its entire economy. The first 2 years of World War II aren't sustained by German industrial power. They're sustained by theft. When Germany invades the Soviet Union in June 1941, they're betting everything on another quick victory. Because they can't sustain a long campaign. The bet fails. By 1945, the contrast is total. Imperial Germany in 1918, exhausted but functioning. Armies intact. Industrial production continuing. The collapse is political, not military. Nazi Germany in 1945. Complete systemic failure. Military destroyed. Cities in ruins. Economy non-existent. The country itself ceases to exist. Same people. Same military tradition. One built on economic reality, the other built on a time bomb. So, which Germany was actually stronger? If you're measuring technology and tactics at a single moment, Nazi Germany in 1939 wins. Better tanks, better aircraft, revolutionary combined arms doctrine. But if you're measuring which Germany could actually fight and win a major war, Imperial Germany in 1914 wasn't just stronger. It wasn't even close. Because strength isn't about the first punch. It's about still being standing when the fight goes into overtime. Hitler studied World War I obsessively. He wanted to understand why Germany lost. His conclusion: Germany wasn't aggressive enough. They fought defensively. They didn't strike hard and fast enough. They let the war become an attrition contest. So Hitler built a military machine designed exclusively for lightning wars. Quick victories. Smash the enemy before they mobilize. Seize resources before your own run out. And it worked. Against Poland, against France, even initially against the Soviet Union. But the moment Germany faced an enemy that wouldn't collapse quickly, the entire system fell apart. You can't win a long war with a short war economy. You can't sustain global conflict when your industrial base runs on deficit spending and stolen resources. You can't replace losses when you don't have the resources to build replacements. Wars are won by economies, not just armies. By production capacity, not just tactical brilliance. By the ability to absorb punishment and keep fighting, not just the ability to deliver a devastating first strike. Imperial Germany understood this. Nazi Germany forgot it. And that difference is why one Germany lasted 4 years against the world, while the other collapsed completely in 6. Here's my question for you. Imagine you're a military planner in 1939. You have 2 options: build a military for quick knockout blows, or build a military for long-term endurance. Hitler chose speed. Blitzkrieg, lightning war, win fast or collapse. The Allies chose endurance. Build slowly, absorb losses, outlast the enemy. History shows endurance won. But in 1939, before the war started, which strategy would you have chosen? The gamble on speed or the grind of attrition? Drop your answer in the comments, because this question isn't just about 1939. It's about how nations prepare for conflict when they don't know what kind of war is coming. If this changed how you understand what real military power actually means, hit that like button. And subscribe for more history that connects economics, strategy, and war. Because understanding how power actually works matters more than ever. Thanks for watching.